What it do? What it do? We really finna be talking about how you just gotta look at everything in a spiritual way. And when I say that, I mean like when something bad happen in your life, like I ain't gonna lie, I'm gonna say, well, when something bad happen, I'm gonna say I try to look at things like instead of worldly, like more so spiritually. When I say worldly, I mean like say something happen like with your job, say you get fired or something like that. I just say look at it in a way instead of, oh man, I'm a good worker, like they just laid me off, like, I come to work every day, I come to work on time. Instead of looking at it like, I just got fired, look at it like, everything happened for a reason. Like, God probably just said, my time was up here. I've been working here for like a year or two, or working here for a good little minute, and it's probably just time for me to go. Same thing like when you're trying to look for a job, or trying to look for a certain opportunity, and like the door just constantly getting slammed in your face. Instead of looking at it like, man, bro, like ain't nobody calling me back, this ain't work, this ain't work out, I didn't try this many applications, or I didn't try to rent this building, this person got it or something like that. Just look at it more so where maybe God telling me, that just wasn't for me. He got something better coming for me. Maybe, God got something, way better. Maybe God feel like, I should wait a little longer so I can appreciate things a little more. Maybe God got me waiting because, that right there that I thought was meant for me was meant for somebody else. Maybe that just wasn't just the right time. So that's what I mean when I say like, look at everything more so in a spiritual way than, worldly. I mean, I'm just kind of saying it wrong. Worldly and spiritually instead of worldly. So yeah, but we gotta start looking at things more so like, just think about God, like in a lot of situations where, a certain situation don't go our way, or we just, a certain situation occur to where you feel like it just, some should have went your way. Like, it's too many times where we go through things and like we just get down because we feel like, dang, like why this didn't go this way. Like instead of just looking at things, and when I say a spiritual way, I don't mean it just like this probably a possibility. Like, most of the time, like that really do be the reason, because God just, you don't think probably it's our time yet, or that wasn't meant for us, or that just wasn't something that he had for us. Like, ain't even sometimes just, that's probably like, sometimes that is the real reason, like why something didn't go the way it was supposed to, because God just, got something else for us. I know I said that a couple times, but I'm just like really trying to get that message out. Like sometimes it really is what it be. So, and I say I started thinking like that because getting more into the Bible, talking to close loved ones, stuff like that, that'll tell me like, start looking at things from a spiritual perspective, because looking at things always, in a worldly perspective, and like, from that standpoint, it kind of get you messed up, because you'll be looking at something like you will be looking at a certain situation and you will look at it for what it is, instead of for like I said, in a spiritual way, like how God got the situation. It's kind of hard to explain, but y'all gotta get the point where I'm trying to go with it. But like if you're going through a tough situation in your life right now, like with a person that may have passed in your family, you're going through financial struggles, you're trying to get a business off the ground, like it ain't really going the way you want it to. You got a certain situation going on with your spouse, ain't going the way you really wanted to. Like I said, just look at it in a spiritual way. You got a certain problem going on with your relationship, just look, and y'all probably finna break up, stuff ain't working out. Sometimes you gotta look at it like, maybe y'all just, growing apart from each other. Maybe it's time for y'all to move on and, learn y'all self a little more. Maybe it's time for you to be by yourself for a minute, learn you, see what you really like to do. be by yourself for a little while. Maybe you distracted a little bit. Maybe it's time for you to, take the time out to be by yourself so you can, learn to do new things. Spend less money. Say somebody in your family passed, something like that. Maybe you feel like, why them? Like, why it was time for them to leave right now? Maybe it was time for God just go call them on in, call them home. Like, I know it probably sounds crazy, like what I'm saying, but it's the truth, though. Like, you just got to look at everything from a spiritual perspective in life. And, like, I don't want to say, like, I don't know if I'm right for saying look at everything from a spiritual perspective, because sometimes a situation, depending on what it is, it might be just because, like, something you did. Because sometimes we can mess a situation up ourselves, so I want to just say always look at it from a spiritual perspective. But if it's a situation where, you did everything you possibly could, like, you tried your hardest, you tried your best, and a situation just not going the way it's planned, or you really, really want something out of life, and it just don't seem like it's working for you, whatever career path there may be, just start looking at it, like I said, in a spiritual way. I feel like that's when it's time to look at it in a spiritual way. But there's a situation you really got yourself in, and you kind of like, messed it up for yourself. Nah, that's a different story. Like, that's a whole different story. You know what I'm saying? So it really just depends on what the situation is. Like, I know, like, I had a situation where, I had lost a job one time that I really liked. And, like, I just couldn't understand, like, dang, like, I really now want to, wish I could go back to that job. Applying for the job, constantly getting denied and stuff like that. I'm thinking, like, dang, that's the perfect job for me. I'm supposed to be at that job. End up getting a new job, and the new job I got, it's pretty cool, it's straight. And then down the road, it's like, I'm thinking in my head, like, that job that I got denied about, them couple jobs I got denied about, like, now that thinking back on it, like, I really wouldn't even, now that I think about it, I really wouldn't even probably want that job for real. Like, I probably wouldn't even be like, good fit in it. Not saying I wouldn't be a good fit, but, like, I could tell, like, that job wasn't for me. But at the time when I applied, I thought it was. But I'm telling myself, I see why I didn't get that job now. God was, hold me back, from that job opportunity, because he knew that job wasn't the right situation for me. But at the time, I really needed a job. And I felt like that job was the right opportunity for me. So, like, yeah. So sometimes, like, we kind of understand, like, and see things, I say, later on down in life. Like, we don't see it right when it happened. But we get in a better situation, or I just say, like, things start to get better for us. We see, like, dang, I see why God let that happen. I see why God let this happen. Like, you finally, see, and it's in the Bible too. Like, I don't know the exact scripture, like exactly how it go, but it's like basically, God, do certain things, and like we'll see later, like, why he did it. But like in a certain time, like, we won't understand like why he did it. But like I said, letting down on the line, we'll see exactly why things went how they went. But I can say some more situations, like I said, like running a business. Like, you want to get your business off the ground, and you feel like you doing everything you can, like you trying to chase this dream, you trying to get the business off the ground. Like, you see you getting a little small progress, day by day, like you getting a little 1% better, but like it ain't really moving fast like how you really want it to move. Like, it ain't really doing what you want, but you feel like, you kind of moving, but it's like you're not at the same time, because everything is like, it's a slow progress. But you gotta look at that in a spiritual way. Like, maybe God is giving me and showing me like signs like that this thing is moving forward. It's just, it ain't moving as fast as I want it to. Maybe God don't got my business blown up right now because, it's still certain people around me or certain things that I got to do better, or I got to grow from to elevate to this certain point in life for God to take me to this certain point. So that's why my business probably not off the ground all the way like it needs to be. And I've been doing this for a little while, and you know, I ain't really been seeing the success I want to. I've been seeing a little bit, but not where I want to see it. Maybe because, you know, God is just showing me something, you know. But he's showing me the little progress, you know, that I'm making. He's showing me. So you can look at, like I said, look at everything in a spiritual way. Like, something ain't going your way, just look at it sometimes as, man, God just, you know, everything's on God's time. Like, it don't matter how hard I work, how hard we work. If God say that it ain't time yet, I made a video like this, like something, but it was a short video saying, like, you know, it don't matter how hard we work. If God say it ain't time, it just ain't time. And we could wake up, work as hard as we want to work when it comes to, you know, that business that we running or whatever we investing in, like putting all our time into. We can go hard at it every day. But if God say it ain't time right now, you know, it just ain't gonna take off right now. But that don't mean stop working. Still keep working, you know, trying to make it come true, because God see you putting in the work. He see that you really want it. You know, he gonna eventually give it to you because he see, oh, you really want it. But sometimes, you know, he want us to, you know, he want to see like how far we willing to go, how far we willing to go through adversity, you know, to get to that, you know, final point. And even when we get to that point, like, you know, are we gonna still keep going? Because it's all still a journey. So sometimes I just feel like when we doing things or anything in life, God like tests us, you know, to see how much can we take, and he ain't gonna put you know, more than we can handle. So when we going through certain things, we just gotta remind ourselves, like, you know, God ain't gonna put me through too much of a hard time that he know I ain't gonna be able to bear. So anything he put me through, you know, I can get through it. And I'm constantly showing up, putting in efforts that I really want this. We just gotta know that he'll give it to us, because we putting in the work, we putting in the time. You know, it ain't something I asked and prayed about, and, you know, I'm stopping like soon as I see things go wrong. I'm still pushing through. So he one thing about Jesus Christ, he gonna give us what we want. You know, we work hard, and it's in his will, and it's something that we really like love to do, and we putting the work in through all the adversity. Like, he gonna give it to us. We just gotta learn how to look at things in a spiritual way when things not going the right way. You know what I'm saying? So that's all it is, you know, when it comes to that, because I feel like this is a real important topic, you know, to go through, because a lot of people, and I know I'm stuttering, but a lot of people don't understand it. A lot of people just go through things and just feel like, dang, like, I'm going through a hard time. Like, I wonder why. Like, I'm doing what I supposed to. I done tried this, I done tried that. Like, stuff just ain't going right. Like, I feel like giving up. Like, I just don't understand why this happened to me. But there's the time when you really just gotta get on your knees, pray to God. Or even if you ain't, you know, closing your eyes, get on your knees, pray to God. Just like have a conversation with God. Like, just know that is happening for a reason. Or that happening maybe because something you did do. Or maybe it's happening because, you know, God said, you know, he want to take you through something to see if you're going to draw closer to him. Maybe the little situation that you going through, now that you coming, talking to God, having this conversation with him, was why he took you through it, so you can come talk to him. So, like I said, just look at things in a spiritual way. Start looking at things like, dang, like, God see I'm constantly putting in this hard work, it ain't working. Like, you know, I really want this to work for me. But I say it like this: if it's really meant to happen for you, God gonna let it happen for you. So don't trip if it's something that you really, really want real bad, like you want it bad enough, but you feel like it ain't going your way, and you really want this like thing real, real bad. Just look at it like, you know, if it's meant to happen, it's gonna happen. If not, you know, it just ain't gonna happen. And I ain't saying that like to say it in a negative way, like, you know, if it ain't gonna happen, it just ain't gonna happen. I mean, like, you know, if it ain't gonna happen, I feel like, you know, it just wasn't in God's will for it to happen. Because you know how much work you putting in. You know, if you trying your hardest, you know. And of course, like, you can always do something to improve. You can always, you know, do more. But you know, if you really putting in that effort, God know you putting in that effort. So just trust in him, you know. Just know that he gonna get us. And this for me too, because like I battle hard with, having faith sometimes, and trusting God that he gonna do this, gonna do this for me in my life. And that's something I'm still, going through, still working on. So I'm still learning and trying to look at things in a spiritual way too. So I ain't saying like I know it all. I'm just, spreading the word, spreading the message, because this is something all of us need to hear. But yeah, just, man, like I said, spiritual over worldly. Don't look at your situation always as a, worldly situation, because sometimes faith, talking to God, this all we get. Looking at things in a spiritual way, sometimes this all we get, because depending on the world to, satisfy us, make us happy, depending on this not to go wrong, always go right, just depending on worldly things, like you just gotta turn to God and be like, oh, now I see. They didn't go their way because, because of Jesus. They didn't go their way because, now I see why I, went through this. Like now I'm looking back, oh, I see exactly why they didn't go the way it went. Instead of looking at it as in a worldly, type way, because of for what it was, instead of, for what Jesus wanted it to be. If that makes sense. But yeah, but I ain't got too much more on this topic. I could dive a little bit more deep, but I feel like I got, enough out to people that, I really want to get out. But yeah, man, just start looking at things and even if you don't want to say spiritual, like, just start looking at things in a positive way instead of always a negative way. Like I said, sometimes that's all we get. Faith, positivity. The world already is hard as it is sometimes. Sometimes all thing you can do is just stay positive, pray to Jesus and just go from there. It ain't too much more that we really can do, because sometimes, like I said, you really are doing everything you can do, but things still not really going your way. And sometimes it's just because a certain thing just not meant. We try to force things a lot to, be for us, and it's not really for us. And sometimes, that's our own fault too. And sometimes we'll know, but we'll still try to force it. So just change the way you look at things, change the way you look at life, you view life, and everything will be better. And like I said, myself too. But make sure y'all give me a thumbs up or thumbs down. Make sure you subscribe. You really like this video, you like the message, make sure you subscribe, make sure you like, comment, let me know how you feel about the video. Anything you want to add, on top of the message, or that could have went deeper into the, or any advice that you think you can give out to people, or even to me myself about this topic. But that's all I got. We out.